Hello everybody, and today we're going to go over Synergy. This was a requested video by a few subscribers, so I'm going to address this now. This video is aimed at the beginner level Necron player, or if you're new into the hobby. Hopefully this video will help you take that jump forward and make you a lot more competitive. Okay, you can feel free to use this army if you want. This is a legal army, but it's not a top tier and you won't win tournaments with it. This is a low to mid tier army. The most important thing with Synergy is you need to make sure every unit that you have in your army has more than one role. Okay? So for example, the Scarab. You may just take the Scarab for one reason, but there's actually a few ways you can use this guy. I myself use him to stop smite, I use him to grab objectives, and I also use him to finish off hard to kill enemies with the Mortal Wound stratagem. If you have an Overlord, and you have only one unit of Immortals, and that's the only infantry in your army, you're wasting points there, because all your opponent's got to do is shoot the infantry, and they're gone. So let's talk about the army now, what I've got in there, so feel free to copy if you want. 1 unit of 3 Scarabs. I'm taking these in this army to stop smite, to hold objectives, and their main goal is to run from building to building, hopefully grab an objective in the midfield that your opponent won't have line of sight to and hold it as long as possible. Extremely cheap, and it will cost your opponent a lot of effort to kill these things, that's 9 wounds. The HQs are the taxes I have to pay for the detachment. I chose an Overlord because I have 3 units of troops, so if I lose 1 or 2 units he's still usable, so he's not dead points. I also chose a Cryptek for the second option, because depending on who I'm fighting, he has the ability to stay back and buff all the troops, or run forward with the Tomb Blades and also buff the destroyers if they need it. This is the key with Synergy, you need to make sure your army can adapt to anything your opponent throws at you. Okay, I took 5 Gauss Immortals, just in case I have Custodes or anything with 2-up armor. I need that -2, but I only took 5 of these, and they're going to hide out of line of sight on an objective as long as possible and hold it all game. And depending on who I'm fighting, I might put around the Doomsday Arcs to guard them. Right, these are the meat shields, and they're also my primary way of dealing with melee. Every army you build, you have to have at least one way to counter melee units. So their goal is to screen and shoot anything that's a dedicated melee unit. And I have 2 of them just in case I lose a unit. And depending on how the game goes on late game, I will use the Veil of Darkness with my Warlord, and I will teleport 10 over and grab an objective, or apply a lot of pressure when needed. So by doing that, they have the ability to guard objectives, kill melee, become a meat shield, and teleport late game and help you win the game. So at least 4 uses for troops there. You need to make sure you have more than 1 use per unit. Okay? Just by using the Veil of Darkness, you open up a lot of possibilities. The primary threat in my army is going to be these. These are going to be Tez the Tomb Blades, unit of 9, 3-up armor, and ignores cover. Their goal is to run out, hopefully take as much fire as the opponent will shoot at them, because they're -1 to hit, and hopefully they can burn the opponent's game turns. But they're extremely fast, and I can grab objectives with those, so these will be my primary objective grabbers, will be the Tomb Blades. Very hard to kill, and they can apply a lot of firepower. And they're also very good for screening units. If I was up against a dedicated, just pure melee army, I'd have some Scarabs in front, unit of these behind, I don't care if a unit gets wiped out here, and I'd have Tomb Blades behind them, so you'd have wall after wall after wall. So they're a very good anti-melee unit, and they have flies they can leave combat and shoot. And the synergy options you have with these are amazing. And if you have the Cryptek, the flying Cryptek, you can keep up with them no problem. So there you go, objective, kill hordes, anything that needs to ignore cover. So saves command points, that's 3 things you can use them for. And hopefully burn your opponent's firepower, because they're very hard to kill. So at least 4 uses for those. Right, every army needs some form of anti-psyker ability. Normally what I do, I take more Scarabs just to eat the smite, and that's what I use for anti-psyker. But this list, I brought the Canoptek Spider, he has the Gloom Prism and he can heal D3 wounds to the Doomsday Arcs, not the Spider. So I gain the ability to stop psychic powers and heal. But that's not all, that's 2 abilities he has, so he has good synergy already, he has 2 uses. But the third good use for him, he's also really good because he's cheap. You can chuck him on an objective and hold the objective with him. So that's 3 really good uses for the Spider in this army. And there's also an emergency melee unit if you need it. Okay, because I haven't got any dedicated melee units, so I've made do with a Spider for melee and a Triarch Stalker if needed. You have to make sure you cover all bases. Okay, let's go over Deathmarks. Basically, they only have 2 roles. Role number 1 is objective grabbers. Turn 2, turn 3, use them to grab any available objective in cover if you can, and have your 2-up save and just take pot shots at anything you can. It's one of our best units for grabbing objectives, and in cover they are really hard to kill. And the second use is they can also help deny deep strike. They're not really the best units to have in the codex, but they are one of the best things to grab in objectives. Okay, the synergy now for destroyers. The destroyers are basically in between a dedicated anti-tank killer and a horde killer. They'll turn to you and deep strike them in range of your target, shoot, and hopefully, if you play it well, you can have synergy with the Tomb Blades and have them next to the destroyers when they come in. You have the Tomb Blades, the destroyers, and the Cryptek all in a blob, turn 2. Then it becomes a real pain in the butt, because you can't charge these because the Tomb Blades are in the way, and if you shoot them and if any survive, they'll have 4-up reanimation. So that is synergy right there, because I'm making other units work together. So when you're building your lists, you need to make sure every unit has the ability to help another unit. Because that is the strength of this army, because everything will help everything. You could easily just take pure destroyers and say Immortals, and they won't have synergy. So that list would probably lose to this list. Okay, the Doomsday Arcs are basically there to each opponent's first turn of shooting. And if they survive turn 1, which they probably will, at least one of them will, you're constantly putting out shots and doing damage every turn. So your opponent will want these dead because they do d6 damage. Okay, and one of the best units we have for synergy is the Triarch Stalker. What you want to do with this guy, you can either run him with the heavy Gauss cannon or the heat ray. In this list I run the heat ray because I do not have a dedicated melee unit. So if I have a really bad matchup and I'm going up against Gene Stealers and tons of melee like demons, he'll be in the front lines with his flamer. He'd have some screens back and I'd be shooting every turn. Okay, so that is a good option there, just for synergy, just for defense. But another good thing with the Stalker is wherever he shoots at, you get to reroll 1s in the shooting phase. So it doesn't matter if he has an anti-tank weapon. If you've got a horde of orcs or horde of Gene Stealers coming up, and you've only got 1 unit of Teslas left, take a shot at the Gene Stealers to get reroll 1s, and then blow their brains up with the Immortals. Rerolling 1s is very, very dangerous. And you can also throw him in cover to try and get a 2-up save, and then he becomes a real pain in the butt to kill. So the key points of synergy is try to have at least every unit you have in your army able to work with every other unit. Okay, this list here, every unit will work with every other unit. Because these can go on screen, take the mortal wounds, they can blow up, kill things, hold objectives. These are good for guarding, protecting, holding objectives. They can be buffed by both my HQs. These are just attack the detachment, so I made them lethal. Units of 10 when my will be done. You can use a command point to give them both my will be done. So that's 2 units of 10 shooting 40 shots with 5+ Tesla. And depending on what dynasty you can take South-Tech and you can have 4+ Tesla. With a Stalker you can have 4+ Tesla, rerolling 1s. Just imagine how dangerous that would be. Absolutely insane amount of damage. Command point heavy, but it's worth it. If you need something big dead, that's your one to use. This is a synergy video, we won't go into code Dynasty Tactics. because you'll be here all day. The destroyers are turn 2 and they are your heavy hitters. They are the reliable tank killers. The Doomsday Arcs are annoying and they're mostly a distraction card effects. But if they are ignored, they will destroy pretty much anything they shoot at. The destroyers are your number 1 go-to for killing high priority targets, but they will highly likely die in retaliation fire. Canoptek Spider, in this list, his use is Deny the Witch and Repair the Doomsday Arcs. Also, hold an objective if needed. Because if game turn wise, say you go into game turn 5, he's basically put 5 wounds on a tank if you have really bad rolls. That's if your opponent even wounds it. So don't be afraid to leave the tanks. And only if you leave the tanks, your opponent will actually not shoot at this guy. So it all depends on how the game goes. Say turn 2, turn 3, the Doomsday Arcs are fully healed. Just run him off and grab an objective with him. He's not really any use then after that. The Triarch Stalker, you can buff any unit apart from the destroyers because you'll use the stratagem. But the Cryptek is amazing because another reason I like this guy, depending on your army, depending on your opponent. Instead of running forward with the Tomb Blades, you can sit back and you can heal your Doomsday Arcs. So in theory, you can put 6 wounds on a tank per turn if you're very lucky with your rolls. So that's just another good little bit of synergy there. The power in this list is the ability to work together. Once you've mastered the ability to make everything work with everything, you'll win a lot more games. But you need to make sure your army can adapt and change and apply pressure and be able to hit hard when needed. So thank you all for watching. I hope you've learned something and feel free to try this list out. But remember, it's not a top tier list. This is more of a beginner synergy list. So if you're new to Necrons or you're having a hard time winning, try this list out and just see how you do. And practice making your army work together. Don't think of them as units, think of it as a giant machine. Everything has a role and you need to apply pressure in the right areas. So thank you all for watching. I'll catch you again in the next video.